Once the golden child of college football, Shedeur Sanders had the world at his feet. But dreams don't die overnight. They die slowly, through decisions, through betrayal, and through lessons nobody wanted to learn. So tonight we're going to discuss the fall of Shedeur Sanders in an epic display of a son bearing the sins of his father. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Community Ledger. And again, my name is Andrea Banu. If you have not already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And so just as I mentioned above the intro, today we are going to delve into the fall of Shedeur Sanders. And like I stated, I do believe that Shedeur is bearing the sins of his father. And so now a lot of people want to blame stats, they want to blame team, they want to blame even bad luck. But if you really want to get to the root of how we got here, you got to go all the way back to Jackson State. So ultimately, we all know that Deion came on board at Jackson State to be a coach. He was leading that team. He was building them. He was giving them inspiration. And there was a lot of progress being done at that university. However, he decided to move to Colorado. Colorado gave him or made him a deal he couldn't refuse, and he jumped ship. A lot of Black athletes felt the weight of that departure. He not only took the media, he not only took resources in terms of endorsements, he took all of the fame and notoriety and just the incredible amount of attention that Jackson State needed at that moment in time with him to Colorado. And guess who else went with him? Shedeur. And so Shedeur not only followed his dad, he has to bear some of the brunt of the consequences of that decision. Deion left Jackson State following the bag, following validation. And what did it mean? What did he gain? So when Deion Sanders went to Jackson State, it wasn't just about winning games. It was about a movement that stated Black excellence doesn't have to beg to sit at someone else's table, but that we could build our own. And then he just left. And all those young Black athletes were just abandoned overnight. And what was the message? The message is that validation still comes from proximity to whiteness. And so when Deion went to Colorado, who went with him? Shedeur. Shedeur left the warmth of a movement to the cold lights of national scrutiny. Brighter lights, bigger cameras, and bigger consequences. Once he got to Colorado, the cracks started to show. Bad offensive line, bad system fit, and then the NFL started to whisper, is Shedeur really as good as people say he is, or is it just hype? And then came the moment that sealed it all. Pat Schumer compared Shedeur Sanders to Daniel Jones, the kiss of death to a young quarterback's reputation. And then, in primetime fashion, Deion gets on social media and makes a post that he would never allow Shedeur to play for the Browns. So here you have baggage, arrogance, and ego. Three things that the NFL don't like. And that was the moment. That was the moment the NFL decided you can be talented, but you can't be bigger than the system. And then draft day comes. Round by round, name by name, and no one calls Shedeur. Day one, we feel like, oh, wow, okay. Day two, round three, what the hell is going on? Social media is ablaze. All these national commentators in sports are going crazy. What is happening right now? And why is Shedeur not being drafted? He's not being drafted because the NFL is trying to send a message. They just got their Negro wake-up call. And then finally, at the fifth round, pick 144, they finally announced Shedeur's name. And guess the team that picked him? The Browns. Yes, the Browns, the same team where most quarterbacks' careers go to die. That Browns. And the exact same team that Deion just posted that he would never let Shedeur play for, the one he was frowning his nose at. That's the only team you got to choose from, brother. Take that. Yes, the NFL is that petty. Like I stated before, there's an old saying that a son will inherit the sins of his father. And that is what we're seeing right now. Deion made a decision. Deion made a decision to leave Jackson State, to leave those young brothers behind, to chase the bag, to chase validation, and to leave his community and his home. And when I say his home, I mean his people behind. And Shedeur is now suffering the consequences of that. And so I'm not saying that him being drafted for the Browns is the end all be all, but it is the end to a fairy tale. And so my only question is, was it worth it? Was it worth that level of sacrifice? Was it worth that level of disappointment? Was it worth the betrayal? And so now you've been embarrassed on a national stage. Yes, Shedeur will still make money. Yes, Shedeur will still be a part of the league, but he ain't going to be making the money that he thought he was. And he's not going to be playing for a team that he had hoped for. It is a massive slice of humble pie. So again, if I had an opportunity to speak to Deion Sanders, my question would be, was it worth it? And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, is the white man's ice colder? Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and watch the next video by clicking right here.